Dear students, let us continue our learning the course System Software and Compilers. This is the sixth session of the module 3. The topics covered under this session are from the chapter Syntax Analysis, the topic Writing a Grammar. Under that one, we will learn the elimination of left recursion, left factoring, and the non-context free language constructs. Myself, Dr. Suresh Adi from the Department of Computer Science and Engineering of Kendra Engineering College, Bantwal, Mangalore. To start with, so when we started this chapter under the syntax analysis, we come across three different types of parsers. That is top-down parser, bottom-up parser, and the universal parsers. Under that one universal parser, as I told earlier, so that is in a theoretical concept, the practical implementation is too costly over there. And the other two parsers are top-down and the bottom-up parsers. For the top-down parsers, we need a requirement of it should be free from the left recursion. Then the obvious question appears, what is the left recursion? What is a left recursion? So when we go to the left recursion, there are two variants are there. One is immediate left recursion, other one is indirect left recursion. Let us take one simple example. If I have a production called A derives A and in terminal let it be B. So this is an example of immediate left recursion. The left recursion means here the root of the production and this will be the body of the production. The first symbol in the body of the production is our root of the production. The first symbol in the body of the production will be the root of the production itself. Such a case we call it as the immediate left recursion. Here immediately we have the left recursion over here. Let us take one more example. S derives capital A and the small b, and capital A derives capital S and the small e. So now in this case if you look, so the S derives A and A derives S. So S derives A derives S. So it's an example of indirect left recursion over here. So the indirect will come to picture whenever there is a cycle in the grammars. What do you mean by cycle? There is a question. Cycle means if we come back to the same position, that is what we start from S. So from S we will go to the A. Again if we go to the A, so we will get back the S. So it's an example of a cycle, a closed path. It may be a direct one over here, or we may have one more option. So A will give us the B and B will give us the S. Fine. So all these things comes under your, all these things you should handle. All these things you should handle. The recursion may be immediate or it may be indirect. That is B derives S. S derives A derives B and B derives S. So even these cases also comes under your left recursion. That is left recursion may be in direct, or that is your immediate left recursion, or it can be an indirect left recursion. Both the cases you should handle. You should handle both the immediate as well as the indirect left recursion you need to handle. Now how to handle the left recursion again? So there are two variants are there. So in the first case, let us look at a case wherein we have a single production how to handle. If I have a production of this format, S derives A alpha or beta. If I have a production which are of the format A derives A alpha or the beta. So now to eliminate the left recursion, we substitute this body of the production with A derives beta A dash, A derives beta A dash, and A dash derives alpha A dash or the epsilon. This is the first variant. It is the first variant. It is the basic in the elimination of the left recursion. So now how we will group? So now in this case, how we will group? Let me take one example. Suppose I have a production called A derives capital A small b or small a. So now you compare with this one. So now in place of A, I have the A. In place of alpha, I have the B. So alpha is nothing but our B. Now in place of beta, I have the small a. Now you apply this rule. So what is that rule? A in place of A, that is I have the A only. So now in place of beta, I have the small a and A dash. Then A dash derives alpha. What is our alpha now? B, small b. It is a small b, A dash or the epsilon. This is our first case. This is the method what we follow for eliminating the left recursion. Fine, it is a basic case. It is a basic case over here. Fine. That is, if we have a productions which are of the form A derives A alpha or beta, that production is replaced with A derives beta A dash. Beta are those productions which won't have the left recursion, which don't have the left recursion. Fine. Beta A dash and A dash derives alpha A dash or the epsilon. Alpha A dash or the epsilon. Fine. So now let us take our example of arithmetic expression grammar. Fine. So let me keep this basic format as it is. So our format is A derives A alpha or beta, A alpha or beta. Then this will be replaced with A derives beta A dash and A dash derives alpha A dash or the epsilon. Let us revisit our arithmetic expression grammar. So what was our arithmetic expression grammar? So after eliminating the ambiguity, we got the grammar as E derives E plus T or T. And the next one is T derives T star F or the F, and F derives open expression close or the identifier. Now this is the grammar what we got in our previous classes after eliminating the ambiguity. So now, but let us check whether the grammar has the left recursion or not. So we are discussing on the immediate left recursion. So I will come back to the indirect left recursion in the next example. Let us check whether it has an immediate left recursion or not. So here, what do we mean by immediate left recursion? Our root of the production and in the body of the production, the first symbol in the body of the production are same. Yes, let us look at the example. E derives E plus T or the T. So now when I consider E plus T, now I have the immediate left recursion. Now I found that I have the immediate left recursion. Now you compare this one with our standard format, that is A derives A alpha or the beta. So now when I compare this one, so in place of A, I have the E. In place of A, I have the E. In place of alpha, I have the plus T. In place of alpha, I have the plus T. In place of A, I have the E. In place of beta, I have the T. That is, in place of A, I have the E. In place of alpha, I have the plus T. In place of beta, I have the T. So now what to do? So I need to replace with this one. So in place of A, I have the E. E derives. So what is beta over there? Beta is now T. So it is a T E dash. Then for the E dash, for the E dash, for the E dash, it is a E dash derives alpha. What is our alpha? Plus T. Alpha is a plus T. So plus T E dash or the epsilon. So this will be the equivalent for this production. So now we have converted the first rule that we have converted into we have eliminated the left recursion over there. Let us take the next example. What is our next example? T derives T star F or the F. Let us check whether it has the immediate left recursion. T is here, T is here. Yes, we have the left recursion. I need to eliminate it. How to eliminate? Again, I will compare with the standard notation. What is our standard notation? A derives A alpha or the beta. I have the production called A derives A alpha or the beta. So how to handle this one? In place of A, now I have the T. In place of A, now I have the T. T derives. In place of alpha, I have star F. In place of beta, I have the F. It is beta A dash. So beta is means what now? F. T derives F T dash. Then the T dash derives alpha. What is our alpha now? Alpha is a star F. Star F T dash or the epsilon. Next one, F derives open E close, no left recursion. F derives ID, no left recursion. That is, after eliminating the left recursion, my resultant grammar is this one. So now this grammar is suitable for applying my top-down parsing. This grammar is suitable for applying the top-down parsing. Fine. So now this is my resultant grammar. The same thing you can look over here. The same thing you can look over here. That is E derives T E dash, E derives T E dash, E dash derives plus T E dash or the epsilon, then T derives F T dash, then T dash derives star F T dash or the epsilon, F derives open E close or the ID. Fine. So this is the method what we follow for eliminating the left recursion for the basic case. This is for the basic case. Now, if I have the multiple productions which have the left recursion in the body of the production, if I have the multiple productions, if I have the left recursion, in this case, let us take the example. A derives A alpha 1, A alpha 2, A alpha 3 up to A alpha m, then beta 1, beta 2 up to beta n. That is on the body of the production when I have the multiple left recursive statement are there, multiple left recursive productions are there. How to handle? That is the question again. So now for these cases, so what we'll do is we'll follow the same basic concept. Now in place of single alpha, I have alpha 1, alpha 2, alpha 3 up to alpha m. In place of single beta, I have beta 1, beta 2, beta 3, beta 4 up to beta n. So now to eliminate the left recursion from this one, so I will apply the same mechanism. A derives, I will start with the beta A dash. So what is our beta? Here I don't have a single beta, I have the multiple betas over here. So what is this one? First one is a beta 1 A dash, beta 1 A dash, or next option is a beta 2 A dash, beta 2 A dash, or beta 3 A dash, beta 3 A dash. It will continue. What is our last case over there? Last, what is that one? Beta n. That is our beta n A dash. Beta n A dash. Then for the A dash, when it was single, what we used to write? Alpha A dash. Now in place of alpha, I have the multiple alpha over here. Alpha 1, alpha 2 up to alpha m I have. So now it will be replaced with the A dash derives alpha 1 A dash, or alpha 2 A dash, alpha 2 A dash, or alpha 3 A dash, alpha 3 A dash, or series will continue. What is the last term over here? What is the last term? Last term is alpha m. That is alpha m A dash or epsilon. It will be introduced. Fine. So this is how we handle the left recursion if we have the multiple productions are having the left recursion. Fine. So now let us consider the next example. Fine. So this is the result what I wrote in the previous slide. This is the result. Now, so this is how we handle the left recursion when it is immediate. So till now we have not come across the indirect left recursion. Fine. So this is how we handle. Now let us go for the indirect left recursion. What is that indirect over there? So I have, if I take up the example as A1 derives, let me take this example, A1 derives A2 A and A2 derives A1 B. So let me take this example with the C. Here also I will take the example of C or the D. Now in this case, so A1 derives A2A or the C and A2 derives A1B or the D. So now when I go with the body of the production, I will tell that it won't have the left recursion over there. I will say that there is no left recursion is there. Because the root of the production is different, and in the body of the production, the first part is different. So here we have the A1, there I have the A2. I will say that I don't have the left recursion, but it is not true. So now in this case, if I observe, A1 is deriving A2, right? A1 is deriving A2 and A2 is deriving again A1. There is a cyclic path is there. So in these cases comes under your indirect left recursion. I need to eliminate these also over there. I need to handle the indirect left recursion also. That is, if I have an indirect left recursion, then I can't apply the top-down parsing. Right? That is, now what I need to first make the grammar as left recursive. How to do that one? That is a question again. So when I saw A1, I come across A2. I don't know what that A2 is. So I can't do anything. That A1, I will keep it as it is. Because till now it is scanning from left to right and top to bottom. So when I go for scanning from left to right and top to bottom, the first production, I will say that it is deriving A2. A2, whether it is having a cyclic path or not, we don't. But when I go to the A2, so when I go to the A2, so now I can see A1 over here. Now I need to check whether that A1 will lead to my left recursion or not. For that purpose, what I will do, I will substitute the production of A1. What is the production of A1? The first one is A2A. First one is A2A. I will write for the A1. This one. For this A1, I am writing here. A2A, and this A I will write as it is. And the second one is for the A1, I have one more production C. So that is a C. So these are the productions for A1. One is A2A, other one is C. And one more is D, I will return it as it is. So now when I see this one, so now here, now I get the left recursion. So how I got that left recursion? By substituting. I will get the left recursion over there. Fine. The same mechanism is needed in this example. Now if you look at the example which is present over here. S derives AA or the B, and A derives AC, and SD and the epsilon. If I take that S over there again, S derives AA or the B. So now I get so now here what? S will give us the A and A will give us the S. S is giving the A and A is giving the S. That is, S is giving us the A, S is giving us the A, and A is giving us the S. So again what? It is a cyclic. Now it is a cyclic one. So now again I need to convert this one Now I need to convert this one to this format by substituting. I need to convert this one to the second format by substituting. How it will be done? How it will be done? There is a simple algorithm for this conversion. There is a simple algorithm which is there for this conversion, eliminating left recursion. So now what we need? We need a grammar, that is a grammar with no cycles or the epsilon productions. An output, an equivalent grammar with no left recursion over there. Now how it will be applied? The method. The method will be quite simple. The first one is arrange the non-terminals in some order. So now let us take the non-terminals over here. So arrange them in one order. That is, I will arrange them in the A1 and the A2. I will arrange in this order. Now the grammar, we need to have the no cycles or the epsilon productions, and we need to eliminate the, you need to find the equivalent grammar with the no left recursion. Fine. So as we were discussing here, so we'll arrange them in the order. We'll arrange them in the order. That is, first will be the all the productions of A1, next will be all the productions of A2, and if you have A3, all the productions of A3. Like that, we will arrange the all the productions in order. Right? That is, we apply the algorithm. Right? So that is, arrange the all the non-terminals in the some order. That is A1, A2 up to AN. So now in this case, if you take up now we have the two productions over here. One for the productions of A1, other will be productions of A2. So that is the productions of A1 and the productions of A2 are kept in the order. Right? Then next. So now what is the n over here? So now n will be equal to 2. Now we have the two productions over there. That is A1 and the A2, two non-terminals. So that is, it will be A1 and the A2. The n will be equal to 2. Then for each I from 1 to n. So now I will take up the value as 1. Now I will take up the value as 1. Next, under that one, for j equal to 1 to I minus 1. So now 1 to I minus 1. What is I? I value is 1. 1 minus 1 is a 0. So 1 to 0 we can't apply. Fine. So that is, this part will be skipped. This part will be skipped. So now I gets incremented. Now the I value will be equal to 2. That is the A2 production, the second productions. Fine. That is, that's what I told. We won't substitute. Now the obvious question is, when we have the productions of this format, when we have the productions of this format, that is A1 and the A2, when you have the productions of this format A1 and A2, why sir, why you are substituting for the A2 productions over here? That is, in the A2 I have the A1 production. For this one I am substituting. I am not substituting the A2 productions over here. Why sir? That is the obvious question. Because when we see this line A1, we don't know the A2 contents in advance. We don't know the A2 contents in advance. So that's why we won't go for substituting for here A2 over there. In place A1 we are going to substitute. That's what we are doing over here. So that is, in the first iteration what we are doing, when I equal to 1, j will take up the value from j equal to 1 to 0. J will take up the value from 1 to 0, which is not practically possible. So now this part is skipped. So again, when the value of I is incremented, now I equal to 2. So now j will take the value from j equal to 1 to 2 minus 1 is 1. So that is 1. That is A2 productions we are taking. So now replace each production. Now replace each production of this format. That is, AI derives AJ. AI derives. Now what is the value of I? I is 2. All productions of the format A2 derives AJ. Now what the J value? What is the value? J value 1 to 1. J is 1. That is, replace all such productions wherever you will get A2. A2 derives A1. These productions A2 derives A1. These productions we are replacing. Replace by the production A AI derives gamma delta 1, gamma delta 2, gamma delta 3, gamma, where AJ will derive that one. AJ will derive that one. Fine. So let me rewrite this one, so that will be very much clear. So what was our grammar? First one is A1 derives A2 A or the B, then A2 derives A1, C or the D. Fine. So let me erase the rest of the components. So now in this case, I don't have the immediate left recursion. I don't have the immediate left recursion. So now what I need, I have the indirect left recursion. So that indirect left recursion, I need to convert it into the equivalent immediate left recursion. How to do that? That's what we are discussing. First, what is this one? First, we start arrange the non-terminals in some order. That is a A1, A2, A3, like that it will take. So now the value of n will be equal to 2. There are two non-terminals are there. N will be equal to 2. First case, we will enter into the for loop for I equal to 1 to n. So initial value of I will be equal to 1. Initial value of I will be equal to 1. 1 to I, then j. So j will take up the value from 1 to I minus 1. So 1 to I is 1, 1 minus 1 is a 0. So 1 to 0, this won't happen. So we will skip this part. We will skip this part because j equal to 1 to 0 is not possible. Then I gets incremented. Now the value of I will be equal to now 2. Now the value of I will be equal to now 2. Means we won't do anything to the productions of the A1. Now we'll go to A2. That's the meaning. Then next one, j will take up the value from j equal to 1 to I minus 1. 1 to I is a 2. 2 minus 1 is 1. 1 to 1 means this one will come across. Replace each production of the format AI. What is the value of I? A2. Each productions of the format A2 derives AJ. What is the J value? J value is 1. A1 gamma. Here, A1 gamma. This is the one which is leading to the cyclic path. This example here. The gamma is C. The gamma is a C over here. Replace each productions of this format. Replace each production of this format with the productions of A2 derives. V2 derives delta. What is delta over there? Delta is nothing but AJ. AJ is our J is our 1. J is our 1. This one. So replace the productions of A1 over there. That is a J is deriving delta 1, delta 2 like that. So you replace with this A1, you replace with the A1 production. What are the A1 productions over there? The first one is a A2, A2A. Along with this one, the gamma. What is our gamma over there? Gamma is our C. So that is A2AC, or the next option is A2. In place of this one, I have the B also over there. BC. The rest will be returned as it is. What is the rest? A2 derives D, that will be returned as it is. This is what we are doing over here. Fine. That is where the immediate left recursion was not there, we converted into the immediate left recursion. Then you go for eliminating the immediate left recursion using the rule what we have stated earlier. That is how to eliminate the immediate left recursion over here. So now if you take up the example here, first production is A1 derives A2A. That won't have any left recursion, so keep it as it is. A1 derives A2A or the B. This one I will rewritten as it is. Now for this production. So now it has the immediate left recursion, right? So A2, A2. Now I have the immediate left recursion. After substituting, I get the immediate left recursion. Now I need to eliminate the left recursion over here. So this is alpha. This is beta 1. This is beta 2. This is alpha. This is beta 1. This is beta 2. How to do that one? A2 derives beta 1. What is beta 1? BC. It is a BC A2 dash or beta 2. What is the beta 2 over there? D A2 dash. Fine. Then next A2 dash derives. What is our A2 dash? A2 dash derives alpha. What is our alpha over there? Alpha is AC. That is AC A2 dash or the epsilon. So this is my resultant grammar after eliminating the left recursion over there. Fine. I hope it is clear. Fine. So now let us take the next example. What was our example? S derives. Our example was S derives AAB. Yes, let me rub this one. So S derives AAB. Let me rewrite it. S derives capital A, small b. Then A derives capital A, small c, or S D, or the epsilon. Now I need to substitute. First I need to go for indirect left recursion. I need to make them as immediate left recursion. For that one I need to go for substituting the S productions over there. The first production we won't do anything, that we will retain it as it is. S derives A B. This we will retain it as it is. Then for the A production we go for substituting. The first one as it is, A derives AC. It will be retained as it is. For the S I will substitute. What are the S productions over there? S production is, the first one is AA. The first one is AA and the D. And the second one is B. BD. Or the epsilon. BD. Then the next one is epsilon. That epsilon I will write it as it is. Fine. So this will be the result after applying this algorithm. So now I got the immediate left recursion. Now I need to eliminate. So now you need to, this is alpha 1. So this is alpha 2. This is beta 1. This is beta 2. Beta 2 is your epsilon. So now when I go for applying the production, applying the or elimination method for eliminating the left recursion. So what I will get, the first one I will write it as it is. They don't have the immediate left recursion. So I will write it as it is. S derives A or the B. Then for the A. This will be beta 1. What is beta 1 over there? First one is BD. So BD A dash. This is BD A dash. Then the beta 2 is whatever, it is our epsilon means nothing, so nothing, then just the A dash. Then A dash derives alpha 1. What is alpha 1? C A dash, or the alpha 2. What is our alpha 2? It is AD A dash, or the epsilon. So this is the final grammar. What will I get after eliminating the left recursion? The equivalent grammar of this one. That is S derives AA or the B, A derives AC or SD or epsilon will be converted into S derives AA or the B. A derives in place of AC, SD or the epsilon, it will be A derives BD A dash or the A dash. Then A dash derives C A dash or AD A dash or epsilon. Fine. The next. So this is the result what will we get. That's the same thing I have shown in the previous one. Fine. So this is how we go for eliminating the left recursion over there. That is, the left recursion may be an immediate left recursion or an indirect left recursion. First, if it is immediate, you can directly apply. If it is not immediate, then it will be an indirect left recursion. In those cases of indirect left recursion, first we need to convert that grammar into a form which comes to an immediate left recursion format. So once that conversion is done, then we need to follow the mechanism and we need to eliminate the left recursion from that grammar. Right? This will be eliminating the left recursion over there. And the next topic is left factoring. Then the next topic is our left factoring over there. So for the left factoring, fine, for the cases of left factoring, if we have the grammar of the formats, let me take the format as A derives. The first one is AB, second one is AC. Now in this example, if I take up, if my input is A, I can't decide whether I should take this one or this one. First, second, because we have not seen the second one. Until we see the second one, I can't decide. To handle these cases of grammars, where the common thing is there at the body of the production has some common thing over there. If it is the case, again these grammars it can't parse using the top-down parsing. whatever the elimination of the left recursion and the left factoring we are doing, this is for the grammar make it suitable for the top down parsing. To make the grammar suitable for the top down parsing we are doing. So the conversion of left factoring is quite simple. The conversion of left factoring is quite simple. So what we will do is the common thing we will group first. That is a derives. What is our common thing? Common thing is our small a. Small a dash. Then this a dash derives. A dash derives. What is that? Next option? B or the C. Then the next option is a B or the C. Fine. So this will be the left factoring. This mechanism we call it as a left factoring. That is grouping the common things. Grouping the common things. If you go with our textbook definition, left factoring is a grammar transformation that is useful for producing a grammar suitable for predictive or the top-down parsing. When the choice is between the two alternatives is not clear, that's what happened over here. The choice is not clear. Whether I should go with this AB or the AC is not clear. Just by looking at the next symbol, I can't decide. Not clear. Then we may be able to rewrite the production to defer the decision until enough input has been seen. Fine. So now in this example, let us take this example. What is that one? A statement derives if expression, then statement, else statement. Now till here we have the common thing. Till here we have the common thing. So next here you have the else statement. Here nothing is there means it is a epsilon over there. Nothing is there means it is a epsilon over there. Now to eliminate the left, to do the left factoring, how it will be done? First will be statement derive. This part we will write as it is, the common part. What is the common part over there? If expression, then statement. This is the common thing. This is the common thing, statement. Then I will introduce one more non-terminal, let it be S dash. Then that S dash will derive. What is our first part over there? First part is a else statement. E-L-S-E, else statement. Or it can be an epsilon. So this is the left factorized grammar. This is the left factorized grammar. So this grammar is ambiguous, we have shown, but for the sake of understanding left factoring, we are studying this. That is, if we have the grammar of this format, A derives alpha, beta 1, alpha, beta 2. How will do? A derives that common thing first. What is our common thing? Alpha. That will be written. A derives alpha, A dash. What is that? A dash will derive beta 1 or the beta 2. Beta 1 or the beta 2. Friends, this is the method what we follow for the left factoring. This is the method what we follow for the left factoring, right? The algorithm. The algorithm says left factoring a grammar, input will be in grammar, output will be an equivalent left factored grammar. Equivalent left factored grammar. Fine. This is the case. Fine. So now if you have the product, it is not limited to one or two. If you have the series of productions like this, A derives alpha beta 1, alpha beta 2, alpha beta n. At the end I have the gamma. So what I will do first, A derives this common thing. What is the common thing over there? Alpha. Alpha A dash. Then gamma is the one where common thing is not there. That we will write as it is. Then A dash derives this part. What is this part? Beta 1 or beta 2 or beta 3 up to beta n. So now if I take up this one over here, this grammar, it is a dangling yes, same if else, but here in place of long abbreviations, we are using a single alphabet over here. S derives IETS. Here it is IETS or the ES and the A. So now among these two, I have the IETS as the common. IETS is the common. So this can be written as a S derives I E T S and the S dash. Other one is A. That A don't have anything to do with this one factoring, so that I will write as it is. Then S dash derives. But the second part over there, the one first one is ES, that is else statement or the epsilon. Then the other thing we will write as it is. E derives B. E derives B. E derives B. Right? So this will be regarding your left factoring, where the common thing will be taken out. Where the common thing will be taken out, right? That is to apply the top-down parsing. First, we need to eliminate the ambiguity. That is needed first. Then we need to remove the left recursion is to be removed. Then we need to go for the left factoring is to be done. Only then it is suitable for applying the top-down parsing. That you have to remember. Then the next topic is non-context free language construct, right? So does the context free grammars are strong enough so that it will handle all the cases? Does the context free grammar is strong enough so that it will handle all the cases? That is a big question mark always. There are many scenarios wherein these just having the context free grammars is not sufficient. There are many things in the language buildup. So wherein we need the other constructs along with the grammars. Let us consider one by one example. Let us consider the example of in the C or the C++, we have one restriction you may remember. If I use the statement as int a comma b, then I will put the statement as c equal to a plus b. C equal to a plus b if I put. So definitely it will give me an error. What is what error? That is a declaration for C is missing. C is not declared. This is a restriction in the C or the C++, wherein variable or the identifier before their usage is to be declared. Can we implement this one with the help of the grammar? Can we check this one with the help of the grammar? Fine. Purely, if you say purely only with the grammars, it is not possible. But we have the definite constructs like a language will be WCW. This you have seen WCW. Fine. That is a before this we will take it as a declaration. This is it is called as a usage. That is before usage we should declare it. Before usage it should be declared. Fine. And C stands for any other statement. C stands for any other statement. Fine. So this is one such case. Just with the help of the grammars we can't do. That's what we are able to say. I am telling. Fine. We have some constructs over there, but it is a limited one. We need the other data structures also needed for implementing such constructs. Other data structures are also there are needed for implementing such construct. One such example is this one. That is variable to be declared before using it. Handling that case. And the other case, if I call a function as a sum a comma b. So in the function definition, I will write it as a sum int x and the int y. Int x, I will just. So now what happens? Now I have the two variables, two formal parameter, but the actual parameter. That is a matching of the formal and the actual parameters. That is matching of the formal and the actual parameter. Even these constructs are very hard to implement just by the help of the grammars. Just by the help of the grammars, these constructs are very hard to implement and they will be handled in the semantic analysis phase. That is the next phase of the syntax analysis. Fine. The first one is lexical analysis, wherein we divide our input into the tokens. Next one is our syntax analysis, where the errors are found, the syntax errors are found. Then in the semantic analysis, we can handle this one. Then the obvious question appears, sir, then what are the errors which are found in the syntax analysis? The error like for every opening parenthesis, I should have the closing parenthesis. For every opening brace, I need to have the closing brace. Every statement is to be ended with the semicolon. These errors we can easily find in the syntax analysis phase. Such errors we can find easily in the syntax analysis phase, and for these cases we will go with the next phase of the compiler, that is our semantic analysis, wherein we will try to find the errors over there. Fine. So now for implementing these cases, normally the grammar used will be this one. That is L2 derives a power n b power m. This is our formal parameter. C power n d power m. This is our actual parameter. Fine. That is whatever the count of a is there, that should be matched with the C actual parameters, or to be matched with the formal parameter. Whatever the count of b is there, that is to be matched with the D. That is to be matched with the D over there. Right? So such cases, for handling the such cases, these grammars are not that much powerful enough to handle the semantic analysis phase. Fine. So that is regular expressions are till of very low strength. Grammars are excellent, super good for finding the syntax errors. But there are many scenarios wherein just by using the grammars it is not sufficient. Just by using the simple grammars, it is not sufficient. We need the some complex grammars are to be used over there. Fine. That is, some complex constructs are needed to handle these cases, like matching the formal parameter with the actual parameter, and putting the restriction that variables are to be declared before their usage. In all these cases, it is very much needed. Fine. So in this video, we come across how to make the grammar suitable for the top-down parsing. So under this one, we have studied, first we come across the elimination of the left recursion, and the left recursion may be an immediate one or it can be an indirect one. If it is indirect, by using the algorithm, how to make it a immediate left recursion we have seen. Once it is the immediate left recursion, we follow the method A derives A alpha or beta. It will be substituted with A derives beta A dash and A dash derives alpha A dash or the epsilon. And if we have some common things over there, then we go for the left factoring over there. Then we can study some of the constructs which can't be handled efficiently just by the help of the context free grammars. For this presentation, the textbook referred was Alfred V. Ho, Monica Islam, Ravi Sethi, and Jeffrey D. Ullman. These are the authors. The textbook is Compilers, Principles, Techniques, and Tools. Pearson Publication, Second Edition, 2007. Thank you.